we're going to start using something today called a function table. And so we're going to take equations like this one. What does this equation look like right here? It looks like the equations that we've been getting where? This equation here is like the ones we've been getting when we're solving for y in the openers. You guys recognize that? So in those openers, when we have x's and y's in there and we solve for y, our answer ends up looking something like this. It ends up being y equals something, and it has a term with x in it and then a term without x in it. We're going to see this kind of equation a lot, where it says y equals something x plus or minus something else. This equation right here, the type of equation that we've been seeing and the type of equation we're going to be seeing a lot, actually represents something on a graph. And so to figure out what it looks like on a graph, what it represents, we're going to use something called a function table, which looks like this. You've got function tables on your notes. Under the x column here, there's some numbers that you don't have written in, so go ahead and write those in. And then in this column right here, I'm going to write this in also. You'll want to do it too. We're going to write what the function is that we're using. And this right here is what we call a function. And we'll talk more about why that's a function later on. So we're going to write the y equals 2x plus 3 up at the top of that column also. So what we're going to do is we're going to take each one of these x values in the column here, and we're going to put them into this equation and see what happens. All right, so this 3 here, this is an x value. So what we're going to say is, and you don't need to write this, but I'm going to write this in here. We're going to say that x equals 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 3 and I'm going to put it in this equation where the x is. All right, so the first thing we're going to do with this equation in the first row here is we're going to rewrite it. So I'm going to write this equation exactly like it is, except instead of the x, I'm going to put a 3. Now, real quick, before I do that, what does this 2x here mean? Does it mean 2 times x, 2 plus x, 2 divided by x, just 20x? What does that mean? Since 2x means 2 times x, we have to remember that when we put this 3 in where the x goes. So again, I'm going to write the equation exactly like it is. So I'm going to write y equals, and notice I'm starting all the way to the left. I'm going to need a little bit of room for some work. So I'm going to write y equals 2, and then I'm putting the 3 where the x is, plus 3. But this looks like a 23, right? So what I'm going to do is, anytime I substitute, which means I'm putting something in for x, I'm going to put parentheses around that. You guys have seen that before, right? All right, so now what we want to do is we want to simplify this. All right, since this is all numbers right here, we can figure out what that is. Okay, order of operation. Should we multiply first or should we add first? Multiply. So let's go ahead and multiply it. What is 2 times 3? 6. So I'm going to carry that 6 over and bring the plus 3 with it. And then what is 6 plus 3? Okay, so what we have is y equals 2 times 3 plus 3, which is the same thing as 6 plus 3, which is the same thing as 9. So that means that y equals what? Y equals 9. So if we just follow the equal signs here, this is equal to this, and that's equal to that, and that's equal to that. So that means that y equals 9. So I'm going to put that in the y column. All right, so the next thing, what is this right here? What do we call that when we have an x and a y in parentheses? It's coordinates or an ordered pair, right? So what we have here is we have an x value that gives us a y value. And so when we have an x and a y, we can write those as what? What is this? As an ordered pair. Yeah. So since x is 3 and y is 9, then we can write the ordered pair 3, 9. And what is this? What are the ordered pair? What does the ordered pair of the coordinates represent? That is a point. It's a point on a graph. All right, so what that means is this point is on the graph for this function. And as you could probably guess, since we have 3 more rows here, there's going to be more points on that graph. It's not just going to be this one, but there's going to be more. So we're going to do the same thing for all of them. So let's do the second one together. I'm going to have y equals, and then what should I write after that? 2, parentheses, 5. So now I'm plugging the 5 in for x instead of the 3, right? So I put the 5 in where the x is now, and then I still have the plus 3. So notice that the y equals 2 times something plus 3 is the same for all of them. Since this is y equals 2 times x plus 3, I put the 5 where the x is, and I get that. Well, what is 2 times 5? That's 10, so it's going to be 10 plus 3, and 10 plus 3 is 13. So that means that since y equals this, which equals this, which equals this, y is equal to 13. And so that gives us the ordered pair, what? Not 3 and 13, because our x is different now. Yeah, the x is 5, and the y is 13. For the third row, x is going to equal 8. So we're going to take the 8 and put it in here for the x. So we rewrite that, and we still have y equals. We still have that 2. But now where the x is, we're going to put what?
6. No, 7.
Now we're going to put, where x is, we're going to put 8, since x equals 8. So we take the x value and put it in where the x is, and then we have the plus 3. So notice that all of these are the same here, with the only difference being the number that we put where the x is. So we just take this number from the x column and put it in where the x was here. All right, what is 2 times 8?
2 times 8,
16. And then we still have the plus 3. 16 plus 3 is 19. So that means that y equals 19. And the ordered pair, we always put x first. What's our x value? 8. What's the y value? 19. Don't forget the parentheses. Don't forget the comma. For the last row, we're going to have the same equation, but instead of putting the 3 or the 5 or the 8 in there, we're going to put the 9 in there. So we're going to have y equals 2 parentheses 9 plus 3. And that's going to equal what? What's 2 times 9? 18. So it's going to be 18 plus 3, which is 21. So that means that y equals 21. And my ordered pair is going to be what? 9, comma 21. So you guys will notice here, for every x value we put in, we get a different y value, which means we get a different point. And all of these points over here are going to be on the graph for this function. All right, so that doesn't mean a whole lot right now without seeing a picture or seeing what's actually happening. So the next example we're going to do the function table first, and then we're going to plot those points. We're going to put them in a coordinate plane and see what it looks like. All right, so go ahead and copy this function down here, y equals negative 2x plus 1. You can just write that up in the top. You don't need to do anything with that coordinate plane on the right yet. We'll use that in a minute. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go through and we're going to plug in our x values into this equation right here. So this one, on this example, you don't have as much room to work with, so you might need to write a little smaller. So for the first one, we're going to have y equals, we've got negative 2 times x. What is x for the first one here? Negative 3. So it's negative 2 times negative 3 plus 1. And since you're probably not going to have enough room off to the side, I'm going to write it underneath. What is negative 2 times negative 3? Positive 6. Good. And then we got our plus 1, which is 7. So that means that y equals 7. And we get the ordered pair, negative 3, comma 7. Don't forget the parentheses there. I want you to go ahead and try to do the last 3 on your own. I'll continue doing them also, and then you can see how yours matches up with mine. Make sure that you're showing all your work. make sure that you show this step where you put the x value, -3, into the equation, and then how you get your answer for y. I can plot them, yeah. All right, so when we took these x values here and plugged them in for x here, we got these y values, and for each x and y value, we get an ordered pair. And so what we can do with that is we can go to a coordinate plane and we can plot each of those points. So we plot the point -3, 7. We plot the point -1, 3. We plot the point 1, -1. We plot the point 3, -5. And all of those points end up being in a straight line. We can actually use this to check to make sure we got the right answers. Because if they're not in a straight line, let's say one of our points ends up being, let's say this point right here was somewhere over here. We could see it wasn't a straight line. We know we did something wrong. All right, so this is really useful for us because it's easy to check to make sure we did everything right. So we get all those points, and to show that they're going to be in a straight line, and to show that that line is really going to continue forever. It's not just going to be those points, but it's going to be all the points in that line. We're going to put arrows at the end to show it goes on forever. We're going to do one more here. I want you to try to do this one on your own. While you're working on this one, I will be doing the same thing. We're not going to graph the points for this example. I just wanted to do that for the last one to show you what's going to happen. But for now, our main goal is to get the ordered pairs. We'll worry about graphing them and drawing the lines later. All right, so there's what your function table should look like when you finish. Check your work with mine. While you're doing that, Mrs. Lidekin's going to hand out your homework. This homework, we're gonna make this due on Friday. You guys will notice that we still have 3 more examples to do. So we'll continue this. We'll continue these notes on Wednesday. So get us started on this. We'll give you a little bit of time on Wednesday to work on your homework, and then the homework's going to be due on Friday. So we're going to give you the whole week to work on this homework.